Something to know about me is that it takes a lot for a piece of media to move me. Have that piece of media stick with me and genuinely change my outlook on life a little. The last time a piece of media did that for me was Whisper of the Heart, which I watched 2 months ago. It revitalized my passion for storytelling and writing from the heart. I'm fairly certain that you'll see a shift in my content if you pay enough attention. And that's because of that movie. But if we're talking video games, not to put video games down as a medium, but when you have to balance gameplay and story tends to get the shaft. And I get it, you wouldn't expect a book to have amazing illustrations, as cool if a book does have it, and it adds to the experience, but it's not a deal breaker when buying a book. The last game story to make me feel profound feelings was Metal Gear Solid 2, which I played almost exactly a year ago to date. And if you played Metal Gear Solid 2, you understand me. That's a video for another day, and also a video for someone who's better at media analysis. One day, my friend Kibberskip called me up and asked me if I wanted to play a game they got in their Steam recommended. Cause the pixel art looked cool. It was explicitly a 2-player game, so he needed someone to play it with. We knew nothing about the game. I basically looked at the first few seconds of the trailer, and from what Kipper said, he did the same. I had just been paid a hefty sum from a job I did, so I had a massive hole being burned in my pocket. I'm horrible with money. We took a gamble on this game out of sheer boredom, and we hit the jackpot. This game was nothing short of amazing, and may I even say a masterpiece. In particular, one scene comes to mind. One that tested the relationship of the two main characters, and one that tested the relationship of my friend and I. This is the great moral dilemma of Bokura. This is the part of the video where I tell you to play the game. This isn't a spoiler warning, I am begging you. There are going to be massive spoilers for the game though. Bokura is $5.50 and since you had to play with a friend it comes out to $11. This game is better than most $70 games, so it's no sacrifice. I can't understate how much you should play this game, so go do it. In short, Bokura is a game about perspective and communication. Right out of the gate, this game takes full advantage of you not being able to see your teammate's screen, as after a story beat near the beginning, you two see the world in completely different ways. Literally, the character I played as for our playthrough was the Blue Jacket Kid who sees the rest of the game as a futuristic, industrial landscape where everything is cold and robotic, including the players. The other character, a boy in a green jacket, sees the world as almost a cutesy kid's drawing. The two boys are animals, big rocks turn into batteries, boxes turn into dye, and the game doesn't spell it out for you. I didn't notice until my friend asked for a soda can, and I responded appropriately by saying, "What the fuck?" This adds a further challenge, as before when you saw a box, you could just say, "Yo, go pick up that box." But now you have to change your wording to be more descriptive and make it make sense to the other person. And they further double down with this when they start making certain puzzle elements exclusive to one person. A thing they do often is have something like a climbable chain be visible to one person, but the other person sees a box instead, and only the person who sees the box can move it. So you have to communicate with each other and be clear on where stuff has to go. These themes are baked into the gameplay, the art, and even the story. One of the coolest things this game does is an unnamed feature I will refer to as the moral dilemmas. The first moral dilemma happens fairly early on, right after you change perspective. You're walking by a clearing when suddenly a couple comes by looking for their missing son. The husband brings up the idea of stopping the search and going home, and the wife rightfully gets upset. After a short argument, the mom decides to keep looking and the dad goes home. Except they don't. Me and my friend split up to convince them to make up. And here's the cool part. You have to mute your microphone and be completely separated from your friend. That is the coolest thing to me. I was on the blue side, which goes with the mom, and she gives this beautiful speech on why she cares so much. And I'm moved, and I go reconvene with my friend, and he says, "Dude, the wife is crazy, the kid's been gone for 3 years. And my view completely changed. And the even more messed up part is, You now have to choose which parent was in the right. We chose the dad pretty easily, and to be real, this one is a pretty easy decision. But this next one is so much harder and was possibly the hardest decision I've ever had to make in a video game. After the whole couple debacle, you just get a moment to breathe and do puzzles. Until you're just minding your own business, and a crazed grandpa shoots at you with arrows. He sticks his dog at you, and now you have to deal with a hostile dog, which is a new gameplay mechanic. After that entire gameplay section, you see the dog now disassembled and broken into pieces. At least I saw that. Kipper Skip saw an actual dog. The blue hooded kid tries to reassemble it, and it works. The dog gets up and becomes non-hostile towards the boys, and just leaves. From what we know, we are just chill with the dog, and possibly by extension, the man. So, surely we'll be fine, right? The two boys walk up to a house. For me, the house was made out of brick, futuristic and yet brutalist and broken down. There's no door, but instead just a shadowed entryway. On the flip side, Green Kid sees a house made out of a milk carton, broccoli trees on the side, and a xylophone roof covering a big stack of wood. But unlike the blue side, there's a door. A locked one. Blue hoodie kid, I'm just gonna call them Blue and Green from now on. Blue wants to go check inside for a phone. They're lost in the mountains and there's someone chasing after them, so I don't blame him. But that does mean they both get separated from each other, which means it's time to mute up. I'm gonna start with the blue side because that's the one I experienced first. Blue walks in. The room is pretty empty. It's covered in wires, there's a big eye on the wall, and the only thing in the room other than the eye are two lifeless robots. The eye on the wall lights up and starts talking to you, not expecting you to hear them at all, but you do. And that fact startles and excites the eye. The AI starts explaining that they're the grandpa's AI, attached to the house and built to serve. In fact, the AI controls the dog. In a way, they kind of are the dog. And like a dog, they follow the man's orders. Already, we have some pretty deep and sad implications. The AI talks to you despite not thinking you would even hear them, whether out of pure boredom or loneliness, both even. The AI wants desperately to talk to someone. Whether the grandpa truly understands that the AI is fully sentient is left unanswered. But it's pretty obvious the man can't communicate directly with it, treating them as if they were a literal dog. Blue walks up to the two robots and asks who they are. They're the grandpa's wife and daughter. Or maybe not. The AI says the Gramps has been killing animals for parts to bring them back. The AI mentions that he has no idea that they're machines, making it a bit more obvious that the man doesn't see the world like Blue does. It's also not clear if the grandpa sees the world the same as Green, or maybe he sees it in a third way. Either way, it does imply that the grandpa is recreating his wife using animal parts, and he can see those animal parts. He's essentially making big meat puppets. I mean, people do worse stuff to animals, but that's kind of messed up. I'm gonna be honest. The AI goes on to give the background of the grandpa. He grew up in the mountains, met his wife, and made a family. Until one day, in a senseless act of violence, he lost everything. But in spite of that, he kept living, he kept going. He dedicated his life to not letting his family be forgotten. He helped out others and tried to live good. And over time, he became a bit senile, which is why he now kills animals to get his family back. If anything, this is a great tale about not giving up no matter the circumstance. The grandpa spent his life after the break-in trying to find happiness again. And with what he experienced being some of the worst stuff I can imagine someone going through, good on Gramps, even though he shot at us. He probably thought we were animals. I mean, if he shares Green's worldview, literal worldview, it would make sense. Blue decides to leave, the AI pleading for him to stay and hear them talk some more. But Blue is too overwhelmed by the situation and heads out to get back to Green. And speaking of, let's rewind back to the beginning and check out Green, not being able to do anything, paces around outside waiting for Blue, until Green hears a voice telling them that they should get away from the house. Investigating the voice, Green walks to the side of the house right by the big pile of wood, and sees the source of the voice, a rabbit. And already, knowing just that, our perspective is shaking up a little bit. A lot even. For one, animals can speak and have complex minds just like humans. Second, if our theory of the grandpa being in Green's world is correct, Grandpa has been killing very sentient creatures, knowing that they are very sentient creatures. The rabbit goes on to say that the grandpa killed his parents and his friends and took them into that house. The only thing the rabbit has left is his brother, which he vows to protect no matter what. With a little misunderstanding, the rabbit thinking that Blue is dead, he goes on about how Green needs to take his mind off it and keep himself safe. But the rabbit also says he's surprised that Gramps is killing humans now. And maybe it's because of the misunderstanding, thinking Blue was killed and all. Out of the blue, the rabbit starts screaming, "He's here." Green hides behind the wood, watching the old man. Gramps walks up to the rabbit to make sure it's dead, and right before he checks, a voice rings out. The couple from earlier still are not over the kid's decision. And remember, from Green's and Green's player's perspective, the old man in their eyes has only tried to kill them, and killed a sentient creature right in front of them. So it's not surprising when this happens. The grandpa goes after the wife, and that keeps them away from the house, keeping the kids out of danger. Green immediately goes and gets Blue, to see if Blue can save these two like he did with the dog. These sections work great together. I experienced the Blue side first, so I was fully bought into the grandpa's story. There wasn't a moment where I questioned it, I just felt bad for the grandpa, and kind of hoped that we could redeem him somehow. But we came back and that reality was shattered. In a way, these scenes work off of each other. They're showing two extreme sides of the same person. The Blue side showing the sympathetic and caring side of the grandpa, the best side, and the Green side showing the irrational and violent ways he uses to bring back his family. It's the worst side. It works as a yin and yang, the good and evil that makes up this person. And remember, you can't see both of these scenes going down if you're playing as intended. You can only see that one side, and you get the other through your friend telling you what happened. You can't see the full story, and that creates a bias to whatever side you experienced. But that wouldn't matter unless we had to choose. After not being able to save the rabbit and the husband because of the nature of their wounds, the boys go after the man to stop him from chasing after the wife, and stumble on the broken down remains of the grandpa. He was pushed off a cliff, mirroring the dog from earlier. And just like the dog from earlier, he can be fixed. And here comes the decision. Should we let this murderer live? I guess we can set a basis for this discussion with a similar question a lot of you might have a more concrete stance on. Can someone's crimes be so heinous that it would be more beneficial to society to euthanize them than try and rehabilitate them? Is the grandpa's actions enough to seal their death? That's a bit hard to say. Grandpa killed countless sentient animals, but maybe he didn't know they were sentient. But he did kill the husband, and attempted to kill the wife. But is he even in the right state of mind? The AI said he was going senile, he wasn't always like this, it was mental deterioration. From what we know, he was a great guy before he went crazy. Should we base his fate on the man he was, or the man he is now? But even on top of this, Grandpa's fate is not the only one at stake. The AI relies on the Grandpa for any sort of interaction. The AI will possibly live forever until the world around it deteriorates enough to destroy the AI. And the AI is sentient enough to beg Blue to stay. It feels emotion, and without Grandpa, the AI will be alone for years and years and years. But do we value the AI more than the countless animals and some humans that might die if the Grandpa is revived? Would reviving him change his outfeel on life like it did with the dog? Would he become more passive and not murderous after that? At least just stick with animals? Or would he just stay the same and keep killing animals? So what would you pick? What did you pick if you played the game? I know what I picked. Nothing. We just picked the left side, or the non-techno side, because that's what we picked for the first option. And that's mostly because the choice was so overwhelming that we couldn't pick. We sat there for maybe 10 minutes not knowing what to do and discussing it. This was the hardest choice I've ever had to make in a game, and I technically didn't make it. I was too nervous to make the wrong choice, and that's why I love it. Bokura is such a roller coaster of emotions, full of moral ambiguity and heart-wrenching scenes that make me respectively want to turn off the game and go cry in a corner. I don't think I'll ever get anything like it in a video game again, as Bokura is such a unique experience. If you haven't played the game at this point, I have tried to show nothing past this scene. There is a full third of the game left for you to experience with a friend if you want to go out and do that. And I heard if you beat the game 3 times, there's a secret ending. And also, if you want to go check out the developer's other game, it looks incredibly unique in its own right, although I personally haven't played it. And neither did a lot of people. This game only has 24 reviews as of writing. All positive, by the way. And some obligatory self-plugs. Feel free to subscribe. I truly appreciate it a lot. Also, like and hit the notification bell if this interests you. I have no plans on stopping anytime soon. And if you want to talk with me for some reason, I have a Discord you can join. The link is on screen and in the description. Anywho, thank you for watching.